Hi, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life, and today I'm talking about hormone testing. Now, I often talk about hormone testing, but it's really important to understand what hormone testing is, what's available, and what it can actually do for you. Because if you're suffering from symptoms of hormone imbalance, whether you're pre, peri, or post-menopause, hormone testing can actually be the missing link to your journey back to full health. Now, doctors will often say that hormone testing isn't worth doing, especially during perimenopause, because it can be too unreliable as hormones are often fluctuating during the month. And they're right because they only have access to blood tests usually, which are essentially a snapshot of one hormone in the blood at any one time. But there are other ways of testing that could be incredibly useful for identifying what your hormones are up to, which ones are out of balance, and therefore the best way to naturally support them. So why test your hormones at all? Well, for us and supporting clients through their health, the answer is simply because testing helps us get the quickest and the best results. And of course, we always look at symptoms and history first of all, and that gives us a really good idea about what might be going on. But there are four main reasons we love to test. Firstly, there's no guesswork. You're not sort of guessing, well, it might be that, it might be something else, because hormones are very complicated as well. They often share symptoms. So for something like fatigue or brain fog, it could be a mixture of different hormones. So testing gets us to identify which one is playing up. Testing is also very personal. Every woman is unique, so we get the actual blueprint of what that particular woman is going through. It can be very motivating too. When you see results on paper, it's easier to make changes. And of course, it's measurable. So, tests provide a baseline for us to measure progress. Hormone testing options. What are your options? So you can get tests at the doctor. The doctor might give you a blood test to measure your sex hormones. You may get your FSH, which is your follicle stimulating hormone, and your LH, your luteinizing hormone levels tested, because often when they're raised, it can indicate lower levels of estrogen and progesterone, indicating you're in perimenopause. Not that useful, particularly when you know you're in perimenopause already, because if you're over 40, you're pretty much there. So there's not a lot we can do with that information. You might also get your estradiol, your main estrogen, tested, or progesterone levels. But doctors, like I said, are often reluctant to run these tests and won't do them at all if you're over 45. So urine tests are what we use, and I believe they are the best in the world. They are state of the art. They're the most sophisticated and accurate tests that I've come across when we're looking at hormones. There are some reasons why it's so good. Firstly, it's done over 24 hours. It's a urine test that measures 4 samples over a 24-hour period. That not only gives us your active hormone levels, but also the metabolites of those hormones. So it looks at how those hormones are behaving in the body. So it shows a much bigger picture than just your hormone levels at any one moment. It's done at a certain time of the month of your cycle, so the timing is in your luteal phase, roughly 5 to 7 days after ovulation if you're still having a cycle. And this gives us a very accurate picture of where you should be in your cycle. It's a reliable measure. But if you're not having regular periods, that's okay as well, because we just look at where your hormones are and what they're doing. It also measures your adrenal health. So not only are your sex hormones important during menopause and perimenopause, but your adrenals are incredibly important because they'll determine, how severe your symptoms can be. So we measure cortisol and DHEA, and we're looking at it again over 4 points of the day, so we can see, where your adrenals may be struggling. And knowing how your body's dealing with stress can give you that extra motivation to make some changes to support your adrenals if you need to. Not surprising, I have only seen a handful of perfect cortisol results. You won't be surprised to hear. And lastly, it gives us even more additional information because it's urine. We get some brain neurotransmitters like dopamine and noradrenaline. We get melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, so we can see if you're having any sleep problems, whether that could be the key factor. We get some key B vitamins, including B12 and B6. Really important to know if you're having any mood issues or anxiety or fatigue. So it's a very useful test, and the beauty of it is that you can do it in your privacy of your own home. It's non-invasive. We can also do it if you're on HRT because we can then see where your levels are and if you're on the right form of HRT or whether you need to discuss the dosing with your doctor. Also, if you've got the Mirena coil, see how that might be affecting your natural hormone production and therefore, contributing to any symptoms. How do we use the results? Well, we look at, these test results are really useful to know where to focus our efforts. So we can look at what foods you need to focus on to give you those specific nutrients your body needs to rebalance you. We look at it to find out what supplements you actually need and not what you think you should be taking because so-and-so down the road is working for her. We can identify whether your HRT is actually working for you and producing the right levels and it's actually beneficial or harmful. That's another really important factor. And we can understand your unique behaviour of hormones in the body and also the potential further risk of further conditions down the line, because we look at the way your hormones are being metabolised through the liver, and that gives us a load of other information. So once we know what's going on for you as an individual, we can then tailor our protocols and get you rebalanced really quickly. Like I said, we're looking at prevention as well. We're not looking at just relieving your daily symptoms, but we're also looking down the line and getting you in the best position possible, whether you're about to go through menopause or you're post-menopause and at risk of further conditions down the line. So it is incredibly useful. Hormone testing was life-changing for me back in my early 40s, and it still is. I still test myself every single year. I've put some results recently on Facebook page and Instagram if you want to have a look at those, because I'm not perfect by any stretch, as you'll see from the results. Who's this test for? Well, it may not be for you because it is obviously outside of the NHS. It does cost money, but it is very useful if you're doing everything right and you're still not feeling your best, or your doctor has told you everything is normal, or if you want to get to the root cause and not just manage your symptoms, or if you want to be optimal, not just normal, or if you want a really targeted program that is quick and effective. So, and again, and you're prepared to invest in that, because obviously it's not free or cheap. But we often think suffering symptoms, and I talk to women who are who would really want to invest in their health and in the future, so because they're really suffering at the moment and it's costing them more in the long run in other areas of their life. So that's it can bring huge rewards when you get back to balance. That's it from me today. If you want any further information, do message me or contact us from the website, or email me directly, nikki@happyhormonesforlife.com, and we'll have a chat. I'll see you soon.